as
I
well?
will do. Thank you. And I will stop the share so that we can hear more from Amanda.
Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, so I'm Amanda Fisher. I've been knitting, crocheting, all that kind of stuff since I was about 8. My mom had a fiber book from the 70s, and so I found it and taught myself how to knit. And I've been knitting on and off since then. I'm just a person who does a lot of different crafts, and I like to combine them together too. So
Yeah, I feel that. That's really
fiber is life.
fiber
is life. That's I guess my story.
Excellent, excellent. So I kind of, myself and Mina were talking about this earlier, about how we've been following you for years and just kind of chatting in the background, but we don't even remember how we started following you. I think we just both, when I started spinning, I just started seeing your work, but I don't actually know anything about your spinning history. So I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind telling us your spinning story. So when you started spinning and like what brought you to spinning?
Okay, so in about 2011, someone on Ravelry gifted me a spindle, which was like, the CD spindles and, a pencil. And I like tried it once or twice, but then school got crazy. And so then I ended up giving that away to a friend. Then come around 2018, I took a weaving class at my local yarn store, and the lady in charge of it is like, oh, there's actually a weaving guild in the city. So I went there, and then they had spinning wheels, and I was like, oh, okay. So they had 2 wheels. One was like a 1 treadle wheel, and then the other one was the ladybug, the shacked ladybug. And so I tried both of them, and then I fell in love with the ladybug immediately, took it home, spun a bit that night, and then like waited a month until it was time to bring back the wheel, and then spent the night spinning to finish it, and brought it back. And I was just kind of hooked. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I kind of took to it like, a duck to water. Like, you just like, oh, okay, I can do this, and then like getting used to getting your feet together and the whole thing. And then, so from there, I started doing a lot of like research about wheels and reading a lot of books, like watching Beck's YouTube channel and learning stuff. I'm like, oh, that's what they mean when they say long draw or whatever. And then for Christmas that year, my husband and his family bought me a spinning wheel.
Oh, that's a good husband. That's excellent.
I'd also did a little bit of spindle work too, but my spindle is, I got like a fiber pack from Michael's that's used for felting, and I tried to spin that on the spindle. It's not so great for spinning.
No.
Not so great, but it turned out okay. And so then from there, just collecting all the colorful fibers and spinning, and then by the time the first Tour de Fleece came in 2019, I was just like, okay, well,
here we are.
Get started.
So what year was that when you, what Christmas was that? What year was that you got?
Christmas 2018.
2018. So you've only really been spinning for like, what, 3 years, 4 years?
This is my third Tour de Fleece this year. Yeah.
Oh gosh, amazing. Like looking at the quality of your stuff it's really, really excellent. So that's so, yeah, I think a lot of people, like Emma's just saying there, she thinks loads of people get given those CD spindles and just kind of like as a go and get rid of them. And I've seen like one of the girls in my knitting class uses the CD spindles as just for anyone who doesn't know, a CD spindle is it's like you get a pencil and then you literally get 2 CDs and you get a bit of blue tack in the middle and just attach it so that it looks like a spindle. It works. It's grand, but it is just like a demonstration, give it a go sort of thing. But and I felt the same when I got my spinning wheel after playing with my spindle for a while. Like once I got the wheel, I was like, oh, this is it now. Oh,
so much faster.
so satisfying. It's so good, so good. So you were a knitter first, is that right? And then
yeah, I've kind of dabbled. If like I'm a person who likes to collect knowledge. And so I've tried a whole bunch of different crafts over the years. Knitting, crocheting, cross stitch, embroidery. I did a little bit of bobbin lace. Not great at that, but
that's a hard one.
I discovered how to do it. And sewing, I actually made my dress.
You know, so lovely.
I try to dabble in, at least even if I don't fall in love with a craft, I like to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because the more knowledge you have, the more you can use it to incorporate into whatever craft you're doing at that moment. So
yeah, it's really that's a really good point actually, because you can really apply different knowledge. I think knowledge is just great whatever you're doing, isn't it? You know. So we're in the present day. We've worked through your past. Okay. So now we're in the present day. So what do you think, what do you enjoy most about your spinning now? Like, what is your favorite thing about spinning now at the moment?
Okay, well, I'll show you one thing here. This is my first tour de fleece. I still haven't finished it, but it'll give you the idea.
Okay. Ooh. Ooh.
I love color, okay? I love working with color. I love getting the fiber, dividing it up, figuring out how the color will go, figuring out how, okay, well, if I do it this way, how will it turn out in the final project? And then figuring out, because I feel like it's almost like a collaboration between me and the person who dyed the fiber. Like, okay, absolutely, they dyed it this way. Do I want to do it in the way that they imagined it? Or do I want to like divide it up or rip it that way, you know?
So that's the shift,
yeah, night shift.
So tell me how you did that now. I need to know how that happened, because if I started up with that,
I had gone to a fiber fest and I found some rainbow colored fiber, two different tops that went well together. And so then when it was time for Tour de Fleece, I was like, okay, I know I want to do something with this. What is it that I want to do? So I just laid it out on the floor. Like my dog couldn't come to the area anymore. My husband couldn't come. This is my area. And I laid it out and like looked at it from above and like, okay, what colors how do I want to divide it up? I kind of knew I wanted to do a night shift, but I didn't know exactly how I wanted the colors to flow or anything like that. And then once I did that, I divided all the fibers into two parts. So both of these, so like you see the regular rainbow going in this direction.
Yeah.
And the highlights in between, I started at the green and went down to the rainbow as well. And so yeah, I divided the fiber into two parts for each of those separate things. And then for one of them, I also added in a lot of like sparkle and what do they call it?
Stellina or
Mina and such, to give it a little bit of oomph for the highlighted parts. But I just love working with colors. I love figuring out, okay, if I do a fractal spin on this, how will that look in the final project? Or if I do like one big chunk compared to the smaller chunks, or if I do one way, one the other way, or dividing it up, you know, like figuring out how that will affect the final project. And the thing I love about creating yarn with it is that you can always kind of change your mind later on. So if I'm knitting up a project and I don't like the way that the colors are flowing or anything like that, you can always like divide it here and then reattach and join. So there's I don't feel like you're fully committed to a decision until you get to the knitting phase. So that's pretty cool that you can kind of have an image in your mind of how you like the fiber to be, and then try to work towards that final image.
Yeah, you can kind of adapt as you go. Vanessa was saying it's like a fiber science project. I was like, yeah. So that's fantastic. My next question then is the opposite. So what do you find the most frustrating thing about spinning, or is it all great, or do you find something not like everything?
Rainbows everywhere? No. Okay, so I'm a person that I like, I guess, order in a way. So for instance, when it comes to grist, you always have an imagination like, okay, if it's a worsted weight, then if I have 4 ounces, I'm going to get so much yardage. Or if it's a fingering weight, I'm going to get like 400 yards, or, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work that way with hand spinning, especially if you're using different fibers. So some fibers will compact a lot. And so then you're like, okay, I should, this is definitely fingering weight when you look at it. And then when you measure how much yardage, you're like, how do I only have like 300 yards?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but then you're like, okay, you know what? Hand spinning is not going to be the same thing as commercial. You're not always going to get the same amount. And even with different fibers, when you finish it at the end, that can affect, fibers bloom.
Yeah.
And sometimes with that, even you get less yardage. And so it's like, okay, it's fine. Another thing that was like getting used to spinning like shorter fibers and the softer, like fluffier fibers, like cashmere. Well, you can't. So you have to get used to like drafting it differently, because with cashmere, it's like a big like thing of fluff, right? And so you really have to be a little bit more careful about how you draft it. Otherwise, you'll get like very inconsistent spin, which is fine, but it's not what I want all the time. So like, this is what I've done with the cashmere. This was for my goddaughter.
Oh my goodness, it's so small. Oh my God, it's so small.
It's so soft, this cashmere, like, yeah.
I want to eat it.
Right?
So cute. I love the lace.
I have a little repair on it too, but you can't see it on the other side, so I'm very proud of that.
Oh, wow.
This will be handed down to her little sister who's coming in December. I'm excited. So yeah.
What's Joanna's asking, what's the bonnet pattern on that?
Oh, I don't remember, but it should be on my Instagram. If you scroll down, you'll see a picture of this, a bigger bonnet, and some socks.
Okay.
That
we'll find the pattern information and link it, and we'll put it in the description box below this video on YouTube as well.
Yes.
And well, actually, I'll show you some more of my little So last year, my Tour de Fleece theme, like a general overarching theme with it. And so then last year was surprisingly rainbow.
So different for you. Oh, I think we're having a little bit of connectivity issues here. So tell us now, tell us now about your, you were talking about your Tour de Fleece.
Yeah, for my Tour de Fleece last year, I had 7 different rainbow colored, individual colored braids, and I spun them all up. It was more of a, okay, can you spin 7 of these braids during the time of Tour de Fleece? And then, so here are some of them actually knitted up, the colors that I did.
So that would be a 4-ounce braid or 100-gram braid, is that right?
Yeah, this is one 4-ounce braid right here. When I spoke earlier about, like, if something's not to your liking in the knitting phase, you can switch it up. That's what I did for this sleeve, because I did the other sleeve first, and then knit this sleeve, and it wasn't matching well. And so then I was like, okay. So I ripped it out and redid it and found another place that matched better. And then so this and the
Lovely.
The
little head is so cute. And that's baby vertebrae pattern, I think.
Is one of my purple skeins.
Oh, lovely.
I'm starting to work on.
Is that the flax?
Yes, this is the flax.
Lovely.
This is the flax, and this one is the newborn vertebrae.
Lovely. Lovely.
So one thing you'll notice is see how it has a bigger stripe here and then a bigger stripe here and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All that is due to how you divide the fiber in the first place. And so for each of them, I said how I divided the fiber and how I prepped the fiber to begin with. And then as I knit with it, then I can actually see how that choice, the fiber prep, turned out in the end. So
interesting. I love them. And it's really nice to use like small little projects like that to use up your pretty skeins, you know, that is quite nice. So do you have a, like your most precious, do you have any like beautiful skeins or beautiful stash that you're terrified to use or that you're saving for a real special occasion? I love seeing people's nicest bits.
Prepare yourself.
I'm ready. Cricket hands, cricket hands. I'm so excited. Mina. Oh my God. It is.
I have two of these from Stacy's Fiber Stash on Instagram. I saw it when she was carding it. And I said, okay, this is instantly has to be mine. And as soon as it went on sale, I was there immediately. And within like 2 seconds, I had bought both of them because this is me in a bag.
It's not going to get away from her. Oh, it is. It totally is.
And so I haven't,
gorgeous.
Like, I bought it, was it last year or the year before? I don't remember exactly. But I have it in my living room in a place of honor. And every day I walk by and I give it a pat. And then when people come to visit my house, whether they're knitters or spinners or not, I show it to them. And then they act impressed.
Look at my baby. Look at my baby. So how much fiber is that? How much is in that? Is it 100?
Together, they're a little bit over 4 ounces. So this is 2.8 ounces and the other one is like 2.9 or something like that.
They're quite airy and fluffy, really. Nice. And so any plans? Any plans? Or just...
I've thought of different things, but it has to be like the perfect project because like
it's too perfect.
The perfect fiber.
Yeah, it's too perfect. And Mark says, I use my stash as decoration. It makes me happy to see it all the time. You should.
Right?
You should.
Exactly.
They're just so pretty. Deborah's asking, how is that even possible to have a bat that big? I feel like that's probably an accordion style bat. It's just like real full stuff. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. So do you have any, one of our other questions, which I think is really useful for the community is, would you have any advice for new spinners? What do you think?
So I mentioned one of them before. That was Beck's YouTube channel, Tiny Fiber Studio, because she goes through like so many different methods of spinning and she like shows you close-ups and everything. So I love you, Bex. Fangirling. Another thing that was actually really helpful for me was the Craftsy class from Worsted to Woolen by J.C. Boggs Faulkner. Because before that, I couldn't quite understand like this long draw magic. I'm like, what? How do you? And then she showed, I'm like, oh, okay. And so that makes sense. So those are good resources, great resources. Another thing is to just stalk people on Instagram, see what they're doing. See, like a lot of people have written under their pictures descriptions of how they prep their fiber or how they thought about going through their project. Yeah. And it's really helpful. look at blogs, things like that. Don't be afraid to just dive in and try things as you go along and go through the whole preparation of going from fiber to wet finished yarn. As you go along, you'll see different places where you can make improvements. And so I think that'll be helpful. One of the things that got me into spinning was seeing you, Grace, and Mina doing your spinning on your vlogs and stuff. I'm like, oh man, look at that color. Oh, I like that one. Or seeing how you're doing it. Or I remember when Mina got a new wheel at was it a thrift shop, I think. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah. So there are plenty of resources out there that will give you inspiration to, figure out what you want to do. And so just dive in. The water's nice.
Definitely. I think that, and reaching out and asking people as well on Instagram, we're generally friendly. And I am awful at captions and I never write what I'm talking about because I'm like, oh, the thought of having to write down my process of this is astronomically bad. So I really don't mind anyone.
Well, when we watch your videos, you talk about
I'm a better talker than I am a writer, hence the babbler. So yeah. So so do you have and this is our final question before we're going to talk about your project for Tour de Fleece, because we're all very excited about Tour de Fleece, everybody started. But I want to ask, have you got a favorite spinning or hand spinning project so far?
I think I like a little bit of each of my projects.
Mm-hmm. It's very thematic now. Come on.
I do. I love the way that, for instance, this turned out because it was very special for my first goddaughter, This was one of my first times I actually used my hand spun. Oh, so I wove it up and it's super sparkly in real life. So that was nice.
Beautiful.
Of course, my in progress.
It gets bigger every time I see it. It's just gorgeous. Right?
One day I'll actually finish it.
Yeah, whatever. The joy is in the making of it.
This is a special piece for me because it came from a very lovely lady. This was for the first Tour de Fleece. Grace chose me as a winner, and she sent me this yarn all the way from Ireland. Well, she sent me the fiber all the way from Ireland, and then I spun it up. And so I'm still kind of my baby, my precious. And then eventually I'll make something with it. I haven't decided yet, but yeah.
Oh, that is so sweet. I had almost forgotten that I'd sent you something, but I was looking back through our chats, and I think the first message from me to you was actually you won this thing, and then we just kind of been chatting ever since. That's why I just love this community, and I love Instagram, and it's just a great community to kind of find people that also are so nerdy about what you like.
Right.
So thank you so much for coming on. I find it so fascinating how different people come and certain people will be really interested in the super technical aspects. I love that you're interested in the color and how you use color and how you're able to manage it I still haven't quite figured it out. I always manage to mess up my colors, but I will be watching you and I'll follow you and I'll learn from you. So we're just going to move on over to Mars now for the Q&A section. If anyone has any more questions, I might have some more questions about color. I have to come to them. But yeah, Mars, I'll hand over to you there.
It's wonderful getting to know more about you, Amanda. I will tell you that as much as you're a fan of Grace and Mina, they're pretty big fans of yours too. So thank you for giving us the chance to get the rest of us the chance to get to know you some more. And we do have some questions from the chat. So I'll start with one from Mary. Mary was asking, do you have a favorite fiber or sheep breed to spin?
I like BFL. I like Cheviot. I'm not the biggest fan of like merino. I think it's because it's a little bit like cotton-like.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to try different things. Like cashmere. Now that we're friends, we're good friends, and I like to try to like dabble in alpaca and sample lots of different kinds of fibers, and see which ones I end up liking.
Yeah. BFL has come up a couple of times, so you're right there with the other fiber artists and loving that one. But I like hearing you say that the other animal fibers are totally in your repertoire. Biba's asking about flax spinning. How does the flax differ when you're spinning that? Was it difficult for you? Was it hard going? Biba wants to know.
Oh no, this was the flax light the sweater. I haven't actually spun with flax yet.
Oh, that's the pattern. Yeah.
I have some in my stash, but I'm just yes.
It's actually lovely. It's actually lovely, but you really have to switch your brain into flax mode.
Yeah.
And it has to be really wet, but it's actually lovely, actually. It's really nice.
If you go for it, if you dive into the stash and go for it, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah.
Mary had another good question. Mary also asked, do you always spin with intention? Do you always spin with the intention of what you're going to make with the yarn?
Generally, yes. Not necessarily, like it's not a case of, oh, I'm going to spin this into a certain pattern, but it's more a case of I want to spin this into a general, maybe a sweater or maybe something like that, or I think about it. For instance, this one here, I spun this last year, but as you look here,
oh,
it forms like a baby rainbow.
Right.
But if you're going to spin into, like knit into a sweater, then this whole thing will collapse into like a strip about maybe that wide for it. And so if I want to knit it up into a sweater, I have to take that into account that the rainbow stripes will be a lot smaller. And so that can mean that I don't do it in the round, like maybe I do it in pieces, or it could mean that like I do it like one strip, like going up around the collar, coming down. There's a lot of different ways that you can manage it. And so I do try to think of that while I'm in the production of it.
Yeah.
Will it end up being the same in the end? Maybe not, but that's part of the learning process for me. So yeah,
I love that. Emma wants to know, I found your cashmere spin to be exotic in the sense that I've never spun cashmere and it sounds amazing, but Emma was asking, what is the most exotic fiber that I'm sorry, Anne asked this question. I apologize. Anne wanted to know, what is the most exotic fiber you've spun?
Okay, well, I've done cashmere, I've done alpaca, I've done camel. The one that I haven't done yet, that I have in my stash, which is also one of my pretties, is this. This is buffalo.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Bison. And so eventually I will like process it and spin it up. But it's definitely the most expensive fiber in my stash for sure.
Yeah.
It's an ounce and yeah.
How are you going to process it?
Eventually one day it's like super soft and nice. Well, like I might like hand card it, or just something to give it a little bit more, make it less like a big pile of fluff and align things a bit. So we'll see. It's here, it's not going anywhere. So I'll eventually.
Buffalo, yep, I've not done that one either. So you give us, give us a review when you do get to it.
Buffalo will go.
Nicole decided to be a troublemaker today. I'm teasing. Nicole introduced her question by saying, this is a contentious question. If you could only spin one color for the rest of your life, what would that color be? I mean, she's asking this of the Rainbow Queen here.
Right?
Really putting you on the spot, but I think
like to tell people that my favorite color is grainbow. So gray with rainbow colors. So I'll have to go with grainbow.
rainbow is how could
maybe
it
like
be the best color?
maybe different kinds of blue. You have multiple shades of a color.
Absolutely. You could
Then
have a
blue.
favorite color family.
Teals to like deep dark blues to like sky blues. There's a lot of different kinds of blues.
I love that. Yes. As a color family, that's a good one to choose too, because you could do a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to know if you have a way of documenting your spinning project so you don't forget how you did something and to have it as a reference.
Most of my documentation happens on Instagram. So I'll usually say, okay, this is, I'll have pictures of how I divided my fiber up. And I usually will write in the description of how I divided my fiber up. And then from there, you know, what my yardage is and that kind of stuff. I don't really pay much attention to like what ratio I did or traveling speed or anything like that. For me, it's just, I just kind of do what comes naturally on it. And then it turns out.
Instagram is very handy for that. And then you'll get feedback or some, oh, me too, or, you know, questions.
Questions of the people that you've been stalking and like, oh my goodness, hey, how do you do this? And people are very welcoming and friendly and being like, oh yeah, this is how you do that. Or here's a link to a website so you can learn how to do it. So you learn a lot that way.
I really loved what you said, Amanda, about finding little progress markers at different points of the process. I thought that was really powerful, and I'm going to credit you when I borrow that from now on, because I think that's so gratifying. It's not just about the finished skein. It's a really good mindset. And speaking of goals and progress markers, yesterday we kicked off Tour de Fleece. You have said that you're now in your third iteration of Tour de Fleece, which is very impressive. I've been on the sidelines forever. I'm like at the water table, just handing out cups of encouragement to people. This year, I think with this group, I've been encouraged to set some goals. So what are your goals for Tour de Fleece this year?
Well, this year it's all about sock spinning, hopefully. Like I love socks. I have met some novelty socks I don't like, but socks is my thing, and bright colorful socks. I'm sure you didn't expect me to love bright colors, but surprise, surprise, I do. So I had spun this up. This was from Wool for the Day. And so this is not enough for me to spin, to knit up like long socks like I like, because I have large feet. So what I'm going to do is probably spin maybe a white skein or something like that to complement this. And this is like about like a heavy sport weight. And so I'll have some nice warm socks from that. I also have, this is from Wound Up Fiber Arts. It's MCN and Cantaloupe. And then I also have one, I don't remember what this colorway is. So, and then I also have one from Pineapple Yarn that has nylon in it as well. So I'm just going through my stash and finding stuff, and then I'm going to hopefully spin it up and then have some nice socks at the end. So we'll see.
Good plan, because I feel like that's a common fluff to stuff project, going from sock yarn to a pair of socks. Totally have a whole group of many, many cheerleaders here for that. Catherine was curious about how much time per day or per week do you give to your craft?
It will vary from week to week. So like, for instance, around Tour de Fleece, I will spend many hours doing it. And then other weeks, some weeks I don't touch it at all, because like I do a lot of different crafts. And so it's one of the things that sometimes I'm doing more knitting, or sometimes I'm working on, sometimes I do like cosplay and stuff like that, where you make your own costumes and stuff. So who knows what
Right.
what I'll do week to week, but I have my spinning wheel set up in the living room. And so every time I'm there just watching a movie or whatever, I can spin away and then eventually you end up with, you know, some
enough
lovely
for a
yarn.
project. Yeah. Both Martine and Veronica are curious about your sock spinning. They're asking what type of fleece or what's your favorite fiber would you recommend specifically for making what you would consider sock yarn?
I'm fairly new to sock yarn, so I'm not probably the most knowledgeable person there. The ones I have some nylon in them for strength.
Yeah, because you can get blends now with a wool nylon blend in the fiber itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm gonna try those ones and see how they wear on my feet, because I mean, any yarn isn't really a sock yarn if it wears through quickly. So ask me maybe a year or two, and then I'll have more knowledge on that.
Tested them, yeah. You piqued some interest with your mention of cosplay. Emma and Kim want to know a little bit more about that. What do you go as in your cosplay? Like, who do you become in that cosplay? And have you ever made a hand spun project as part of that?
Oh, I haven't done it as part of that, but here, let me show you one of the projects I did.
Yeah, Veronica
was me.
To the
I dressed up as Astrid from How to Trade Your Dragon. I made the boots, all the shields, all the side things. I made all that. Let's see, what else do I have?
I'm pretty sure that's the first time in any Fluff to Stuff monthly meeting where a guest has said, I made these boots. That's going to go down in our history for the year. So that's pretty amazing.
So I love
that you can craft multiple pieces like that.
It's been a lot. Oh, actually, I know where I can find it. Hold on, give me 1 second and I'll show you.
Yeah, take your time.
What I went as this year.
Beaver's gonna make sure not to let your daughter know about these skills you have. Let her daughter know, just in case some more making now has been put.
I just had this great idea for hand spun like cosplay is Claire from Outlander. Right.
I mean,
you know who also does spinning? No Face from
from Spirited
Away. Oh, my face went away.
Yes, he does.
Pardon? The Ghibli movie.
Yeah, No Face.
I forget the name of it right now. But yes, he does spinning.
Oh my God.
There's a whole fiber subgenre here.
This was Korra from Avatar or Legend of Avatar, Legend. And so then this was I sewed the shirt. I sewed the whole thing for this. So
it's amazing. Yeah, I'm loving this, the waist wrap sarong.
This was my husband here. So we did a full, like we made the mask and I sewed all the stuff on it.
Tell me you have a supportive partner without telling me you have a supportive partner. That's that picture right there. Exactly, right? Amazing. Love, love, love. So thank you so much for sharing that, because it's another reminder for us that creativity has a lot of outlets. And I think it's amazing the way you're using yours. It's fantastic. If there's anything else you'd like to share with the group, let us know. Any final words, anything we need to look out for, anything. Mic is yours.
I think that's it. But okay. Awesome. I hope everyone has a wonderful tour de Fleece. It doesn't matter how much you spin, just that you do it and you enjoy it, and maybe you'll learn some new technique or learn something about yourself in the process. So happy tour de Fleece, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Happy tour de Fleece. For those of you this on YouTube, you'll be able to find links to where you can see Amanda and more of Amanda's projects online. We'll make sure to link to that, and you can post comments below the video. If you have additional questions or comments for Amanda, feel free. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.